Welcome to Crafty Hints. I'm Chantel. If you're here from the playlist, I want to extend a special welcome. Today I took part in the Try It Tuesday challenge. This was hosted by Sammi from Unicorn Dust Designs, and her co-host is Theresa from Theresa B DIY. The challenge was to take 3 items or more that you saw in other crafters' videos. So my first one was actually from Theresa B. Now I took this long sign from the Dollar Tree and I just simply covered it with some Waverly chalk paint and ivory. I didn't fully cover it to give it a distressed look. Then I took these gems that come in rows and they have a little bit of a tape in between them, and I covered them with this Waverly ink. While that dried, I decided to take apart this windmill. It is going to be the O in my sign. So it isn't as easy as you would think to take it off of here. But I finally found if you snipped off the front and you kind of keep twisting on the back, you can get that off. It does take it and distort it just a little bit, so you'll want to straighten that up and then glue the center back on. Then I just wanted to measure. Now this sign is 24 by 6. And with this sign, as you can see, it does have the indents on the sign. It doesn't have to be this exact sign. There's so many long signs that Dollar Tree has. I like this one because it kind of has that shiplap. So I went along with the indentions on the sign with just a plain old pencil. And I'm going to just go over that with my fingers. It just smears it a little bit to give it the shadow of the boards. I went over this with a little bit of antique wax. And I did go back over it with just a little bit more of the ivory. I did this all with just a dry brush technique. You just take a chip brush, get the tiniest bit on your brush, and just go back and forth over your board. Now I measured for the center at the 12 inches, and then I started lining these up. I made my letters 4 inches so that I knew they'd be 1 inch from the top and 1 inch from the bottom. Pretty simple there. It was just trying to get the exact proportions because this little windmill was 7 inches, I believe. So I centered that first and then placed the rest of the letters from there. These I did make on my Cricut. You could definitely use the poster stickers. You could also Mod Podge some letters on to get the size that you want. So I just rub that on there, and I'm just going to get all of these letters measured out and placed on the sign. Pretty quick and easy process. I'm sorry, I'm not sure if I did tell you I did get that little windmill at the Dollar Tree, of course, along with the sign. So after I got this on there, I took those jewels that I painted with the black paint, and I'm just snipping off any of that adhesive around the edges, and I'm going to use those to cover up the holes from the string. And when I measured this, it is a 1/2 inch from the side and 1 inch down from the top. So I'm going to do that on both sides to make it look like it has nails on each side, and that's what's going to attach it to our wall. But you could definitely then just glue on a little bit of jute twine on the back with maybe a popsicle stick so that you can hang it on your wall or a sawtooth hanger. But that's what it looks like. Those stickers look just a little bit too shiny for me, so I went back over with just a little bit of a dry brush with a tiny bit of ivory paint. You could choose to do that part or not. And here's our sign. On to project 2. Project 2 actually came from unicorn dust. Sammi did a great milk carton, and I am going to do the same. I decided that I was going to do mine in white though. So first thing I did was take the 2 bowls from the Dollar Tree. One is smaller than the other. They come in a 2-piece set. And I just took some silver paint and painted the center. Next, I attached that bowl with some Gorilla Clear Glue and some hot glue. You could definitely use E6000. The Gorilla Glue doesn't have that strong smell that the E6000 does. Then I took these styrofoam rollers that I found at the Dollar Tree. I was debating between those and the curtain holders, shower curtain holders. And I decided on these because most of the milk cans I've had in my life had these squarish handles. Fun fact, I was raised on a dairy farm part of my life. So this one had a little bit of a deer thing in my heart. And so usually down in there, we've got them, set outside because they're rarely used anymore and it's kind of dark inside. Now, it was our Miller's Dairy Farm. It was my aunt's farm. So I just snipped around that decal so that it moves around this bowl. This bowl tapers a little bit. I wish I had thought about that just a little bit more. I probably would have just made these 2 separate decals to adhere them a little bit more easily. But you just move them around just a little bit and you'll be able to get those on there. I might have even made the Millers just a little bit smaller. But as you can see, not everything comes out perfect at the first try. So I took this little tool and I'm just going to lift that E up and fix it and place it the way it should be. And the same with the R. The leg's just a little crinkled, so we fix it. Now I had sprayed the bowls and the container with the 2-time Rust-Oleum paint, but it didn't get as full a coverage as I had wanted. So I went back with some Waverly chalk paint on the bottom of that and touched up some areas that my decal also took off. Here I'm using my Posca marker to just take a little bit of, this kind of looks like enamel, right? So where enamel might chip off, I just added a few black marks. I make a loop with my ribbon. I put the jute twine around it and just pull it tight through the loop. Simplest bow ever, right? It was a loop and then a loop of the twine and I pulled it through. Now I just wrapped it around a few times. Easiest bow ever. All right, now I'm just giving you a better view here. Got some glue and I glued that on the front and just a little bit of hot glue to attach the legs, so to speak, of the ribbon. Tails, I guess, would be a better. And that's all there is to this. It was pretty simple there. So it was a container, the foam rollers, and 2 bowls, and some paint. And here we are. I hope you like that. Okay, now we have the last one. I got this idea from Kristen Kay. She had done some Christmas books and she had also just done some others with one of these little wood crates. So I covered it with some Ivory chalk paint and then I just came in where it divots in a little bit with some mineral. I went back with a little bit of hazelnut as well, just so it was more defined. and so that you could see it around the edges. Now I took my Cricut and I made these. This font is just skinny. You can get it free from dafont.com. So I did faith, family, and love. Next we take just a little bit of twine. And that's just a little silicone face mask applicator, but it works great to push down hot glue. So I took that and I just wrapped it around there and tied a bit of a knot. And a little bit of hot glue to make sure and hold it in place. I had some boxwood and I just cut one of the pieces in half. I didn't need too much, and then I had these flowers from the Dollar Tree. It's part of their spring floral, and just clipped off a little bit of that. I do want to mention that it's wonderful to be inspired by all these lovely ladies. You know, you don't have to make exactly what one person makes. You make it your own. All of mine were done just a little bit differently than the original creator, and I think that's what YouTube DIY videos are all about. It's about getting some inspiration and making it to fit in your home. So I do hope that you've liked all of these. I think this was a wonderful idea from Sammi. So that looks like that stack of books. That's just the tray I've made in the past. I'll link it down below. Thank you so much for watching. Please do watch the playlist below and you'll see some amazing other crafters. Thank you.